thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And I ask anyone who has any additions, edits, deletions to the minutes for the July meeting.
Okay.
If not, I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to accept minutes?
Second. Matt
Second.
Yetto. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Minutes are accepted. Item number 2.
Okay, so just an update on the ongoing COVID response. We haven't had any workers that showed any signs, any symptoms. We have been implementing the new temperature logging policy, and it seems to be working well. Alexis did get us, or is in the process of getting us a hands-free thermometer, which will be helpful.
They're in the office now, Matt. As soon as you need it. I'm not sure how. I know Ray Smith, he installed it himself. So I think that it's not too complicated, but I know Charlie Bergami is installing the one for the police department. If you think that it's just a matter of putting 2 screws up, that I can just give it to you, today. But if you want,
Okay.
Charlie do it.
Yeah, we can do that. I'll grab it from you then.
Oh, it's in my office, plugged into my computer. If I'm not there and you want to grab it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Item B, the Geo tab, the T-Mobile GPS tracking. I know there was some discussion, and moving forward with the town working with T-Mobile. I didn't know if there's any more information available. Who's going to be using that?
Taylor, can you ask your mom where we are on this issue? Have you talked to him?
He sent us the quote after the last meeting, and I feel really bad. I feel like we're kind of dragging this on for Eric, and not unintentionally, because we were very interested in it. I mean, do I have the authority to just tell him, like, let's set up a date and time and to come?
Can we please do that? I thought we could do that.
That's what I thought. So I know
1,000 things have happened since then. So if we could schedule a meeting for early next week. So I don't think that. Is there anything about this that we'll have to go to finance? I think we approved all of this already, right?
It's already been all approved. So as long as I think the next step is literally just having it deployed. So Matt, I don't know if we want to cancel. I think you can hold off on canceling Verizon to the extent that those are already installed until the Geo tabs, in the vehicles. So yeah, as long as you have the list of the vehicles that you want, I see no problem in saying, let's move forward with the case manager being assigned to the town, and that set up a time for them to come and either deliver the plugins for the car and show you how to do so.
No, Highway's doing it as well, right? I didn't want to.
Oh, sorry. So Highway is in agreement, but at the same time, there hasn't been as big of a push to get it done as fast. I mean, it didn't come up yesterday during Highway Committee. So I can check with Ray, but I think that I don't want to slow your department down on getting it installed. If there's, if it's going to mean that it's going to, I just think if there's a benefit to doing it your department, and then when Ray's department's ready, we can do his, and the cost is going to be the same with us.
Fine. So I want to try to move this along. I know people are pressed for time today, so I'm going to kind of really stay on it today. My last question is, can Eric and Matt just meet, or do we all have to be in the meeting?
No,
I'm not doing it with Highway anymore. So
Matt and Eric is more than fine with me. My feelings won't be hurt.
All right.
Okay.
Mine either. I'm going to send an email right now. Okay. Matt.
Sounds good.
Matt.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We got Laura Robinson in the house. We are ready to roll. Okay, Matt, keep going.
Okay, so last week we submitted our budget recommendations for next year. I just had one question having to do with vehicles. Last year I showed them in the budget and then we pulled them out. How should I be showing large purchases like that in the budget? Should I show them in there now and because that way it's a realistic expected cost for next year? I didn't know what the policy was.
I guess that would depend on if you're intending to bond for them.
Is Yasmin on this call? I just had the same conversation with Supervisor Syed because we were talking about what the monetary threshold should be vehicles in
Right.
terms of for bonding.
Right. So that's what we did last year is we created a threshold to try to pay cash for as many things. I just don't know if there's cash. I don't know if there's going to be vehicles. Yeah. Put it on your list.
Okay.
Also make a corresponding list of vehicles that are coming out of your fleet so that you can kind of get a sense of the surplus of auction. But yeah,
Okay.
this is the supervisor side question.
Yeah, yes. And everything you just said, yes, that's the way you should do it.
Okay. And
Thank you.
having to do with vehicles as well, we had money in this year's operating budget. They moved money for us to buy 2 pickup trucks. And because of the whole COVID situation and reduce workforce for a while there, we were able to stretch the trucks and not have to replace them this year. So I have money in the 2000 line that was moved for trucks. However, I have other equipment, pump stations especially, that could use long-term rehab or improvements. Can I use that money for that this year instead of buying the pickup trucks? Because I think as looking at my system, it's a better choice to use that money for equipment repair, not repair, but improvement that can save us money over time and also avoid future issues. Is that money that was moved by the board for pickup trucks this year, is that only able to be used for that? Or can I use it for other capital projects in my distribution and collection system?
Other people can answer this, but I'm going to say one thing to you, which is if you want to spend that money on something else now, but you think you're going to need the trucks next year, there might not be money for trucks next year.
Okay.
So I want you to keep that in mind. In my mind, it is highly unlikely that you are going to have the same dollar amount in your budget for next year. The money doesn't exist. Now, other people might have other theories, but I wouldn't put off to tomorrow what you can buy today if you need that today. Because
Okay.
I don't see a lot of fleet upgrades next year.
Okay. I'll
Does that
keep
make
that in
sense?
mind. And yeah, so I'll look at it and see and weigh the benefit and see which works best for
Sure.
us.
Okay, great. I mean, Yasmin, if you disagree, you're going to put together the budget.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't necessarily disagree. And also, my question is, was it bonded money or was that cash?
It was not bonded.
It was cash.
Yeah, so in any case, it would come out of fund balance. So to Denise's point, the financial picture for next year is more uncertain, whereas this year we had already budgeted for it and we do have the cash, but next year may be different just with COVID and everything else. So as we put the budget together, it might not be there. So that's a good point Councilwoman McGraw made.
Okay. Thank you. Number 3, attorney's items, Paul. Any update on the Whitmire Drive?
So Josh and I finalized those numbers. I thought I was going to have the petitions or the letter out to Whitmire and the petition out to Pierce. I didn't get to that. I had something else that I just didn't get to it. It'll be out by a week from today at the latest on both of those.
Okay, Paul, there is an update on that as far as the cost for that project. If Josh is on the line.
Which project?
For the Whitmire Drive sewer.
Yep. You want me to go over those numbers, Matt?
Great.
Yeah, you just explain what we talked about just before the meeting.
Yeah. So I did an estimate, and then we got a quote too from a contractor to verify. We're looking at for the 6 original people on Whitmire Drive. The construction cost for gravity on that is $104,000. that's quite a bit more than the previous estimate that we had from Andy of 42,000. And then it's an additional about 42,500 for the additional 400 feet to pick up those two people that are closer to River Road. So that's because it's an extra 400 feet just to get to them. So that's a pretty significant. It's right around $145,000 total to get all 8 users connected to our system with a gravity system. Seeing that price, that's pretty high. It's not likely. I don't even think we can get the state comptroller to approve that kind of rate. I think that's somewhere around $1,000 per user over a 20-year bond, plus the percentage of the bond. So an alternative we could consider is we do have the Pierce Road extension estimate, and that's for a low pressure collection system. Close to the same footage, was 830 feet for that. And the price for that was $39,000. So that's an alternative we could consider, because I would expect the price to be comparable for the low pressure collection system on Whitmire as it is on Pierce for the quote that we have. So
And we would be okay with that system design as well, because that is we don't expect any future construction or development on that road. And a grinder system or a low pressure system would be a good option.
So Matt, what you're saying is that the grinder or low pressure system would work on Whitmire like it would on Pierce.
It would. There's some initial costs a little higher for the homeowner, but not too bad because you have to buy the grinder pump to go with it. But they save on their own construction costs as well for the tie-in. So
What's a grinder pump cost? Approximately $5,000.
About $3,000 for the hardware.
And that's just for the grinder pump, maybe installation, but you still have to put the lateral in too.
Yeah.
So you're talking, maybe 6, 7 at the high end for the full connection for each homeowner, for their out-of-pocket costs to tie in.
Yeah,
and the bonded.
Yeah, and they would have had to. Some of that cost would be on a gravity system anyway too for their lateral to tie in.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is with Whitmire, there's no sense in proposing the $145,000 project because, as you said, I know from past, the state comptroller's office is reluctant to approve those type of expenses per household.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an important point, Paul. But don't the residents need to know that we have gotten that information? I mean, I don't want it to become that we dropped the ball or we didn't do something or,
Well, so I'll send.
You'll send them a letter telling them all of it?
Options and why the one isn't viable.
Okay.
And we can get
Yeah, I just feel as though they need all the information.
So we're going to consider the low pressure collection system, right? That's what we should probably do going forward. Because that's the number that they should get. That's what we're going to propose.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So that is a more reasonable number. That's more realistic.
Yes. So the next one is Kabricki. Janet found that Kathy found that I had a math error, and actually the amount that was approved by the town board was slightly higher than the amount that we calculate was owed. I sent the comptroller's office issued a check. I sent it to their attorney. Their attorney has indicated to me that it may not be accepted, but in any event, that's something we'll have to take care of. Of course, when I sent it to him, I labeled it as payment in full, which requires him to reject it if it's not accepting as payment in full. But we will, and I'll give the numbers to Alexis to amend that resolution to show the correct number. The city water
I
bill.
defended your ability to do math in public. Thanks.
Well, yeah, Yasmin promised the supervisor promised to check my math. And
The
apparently-
supervisor will never again let you do math that she doesn't double and triple check. The official mathematician of the group.
Hey, Paul, Brooks, I don't think it would require a resolution. If the resolution stated too much money, then
Right, and we're
it doesn't
under, so
require
then
a
we can't be.
resolution. It just is. I think it would require a resolution if you're paying above and beyond the amount stated in the resolution.
If you say so, I'm all for less than more.
Yeah, I'm a positive. That's the right interpretation. So no resolution required, but just keep us updated.
The city water bill, we were scheduled to meet with the city last week, but some other issues came up that required that be adjourned. So the city attorney and I are picking a new date for, they want to go to we're going to look like the first week of September. Ingersoll Home, I haven't heard anything back from Ingersoll on that. And Matt, do we need a new driveway easement for Hilltop?
Yeah, so there's an old access road that went to a water tower that is no longer there. That was removed years ago. So the town still has a little piece of land that comes off of that road, off of Hilltop, into heading towards the golf course. Years ago, the two residents that adjoined that property paved the driveway and used it as their driveway. So they want to repair their driveway and repave it, and this is just acknowledging that it's our land, and they want to have an agreement to have a driveway in our land. It's already there. They're just going to.
Are we ever going to need that land again?
I hate giving away land because I think there is some old. It's still an access into our other easement because there's another 16-inch water main that's further into the property. And this is a way to get to it if we ever had to.
So have your office provide me with the map and the contact information.
Okay, the map's attached, but I'll get some more contact information for you. It was attached to the packet. Number 4, the wastewater treatment plant. I just wanted to know if there's an update on the high strength waste acceptance or the mitigation plan for that facility. I know there's been some discussion.
The supervisor got us the notes from our meeting and compiled it and made it look very nice, and I thank her for that. I just haven't really had time to go through all of it. Maybe we can put it on the agenda for next month, but Yasmin, thank you very much for going to all that trouble.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you have a time to get to it, or if you want to discuss it next month, that's fine.
Yeah, or we can discuss it in between if there aren't 14 other emergencies. So
Right.
I certainly know why it's an incumbent to last night. That's more than understood by everyone. So, but thank you for doing it.
Yep, absolutely.
I thought the history on the bottom part was particularly nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
And Matt may have some changes or to augment that or beef that piece up a little bit more. This is a document we're going to share with others.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And any edits and contributions are welcome and appreciated.
Thank you.
I have a great statement on the release with ESG for the wastewater treatment plant. They had sent Paul Briggs and I a copy of the, in writing of what their proposal is with regards to not being bound to achieve the revenues guaranteed in phase 3. I'm reading, I would have attached it to the packet, except I'm reading that it does have a confidentiality clause that says it's kind of only with the eyes of attorneys and those who need to see it. But I think we need to walk through it before Yasmin signs it, because there are specific representations that they're making as to what they will provide you before we end our relationship. For example, they say by September 24th, they'll provide a single measurement and verification report documenting that aeration blower. I mean, that's your arena, that's not mine. So I want to make sure that that's comprehensive enough in scope as to what they're guaranteeing that they provide before our relationship with them ends.
Okay.
And so I don't know when's a good time to walk through this with you, but
pick it. I mean, next week or later this week, whatever works for you. I'm here every day, so.
And I believe that this will require a resolution because, I mean, we're ending it's a change to our contractual relationship. So
Okay.
I'll
That's
take
fine. Well, let's just have a conversation about it before the next meeting. We maybe could do it before finance or something.
Yeah, and also Mr. Murphy, I think that's his name, Aidan Murphy, an email so he doesn't think that we just left him in hanging, saying we're reviewing it and we handled this payroll on the 25th of August.
Okay. Item B, we have a trainee at this wastewater plant. He's been a very good trainee. He wants to get his operator's license, and I wanted to know if I can have the green light to start looking at getting him trained. We have in the past sent people to SUNY Morrisville for the courses. It's the total cost for the classes is just over $2,000. But it looks like they're pushing it off a little bit because of COVID. They had their original schedule showed classes beginning in August, but now I think the earliest is January. So I'll be bringing this back again. I just wanted to know what the committee's thought was, whether or not I can pursue this and let him know so that he's happy and I don't want him to get discouraged and think that he's not.
Yeah, no, I think that's a
Doing
good
this well.
point. And we aim to make everyone happy, Matt, so especially in water and sewer. So yeah, of course.
Okay. Item 5, water treatment plant. We need to hire a new operator. We lost one to retirement. We lost 2 to retirement already this year, and a third one is going to retire. He would have retired already, but he's hanging on to help us out. I have an application that looks pretty good. I'm going to try to interview next week. If things go well, I'd like to try to appoint at the end of this month, because I'd like to have some overlap, because right now we have 2 operators and a trainee down there. And right now, if we lose the second operator, then would be down to 1. And historically, we've had 3. So hopefully I'll
Matt,
have
is this person in this unit? I'm sorry. Is this person in this unit resident?
he's a Schenectady resident, I believe.
All right. So I'll need to request a waiver from civil service, a residency waiver from civil service, if you're going to move forward.
Okay.
And my deadline for that is next Wednesday.
Okay, so I'll try to schedule an interview before that.
So
Okay.
So our residency requirement goes all the way down to plant operator. I thought it was just department heads, Janet.
No, it's all the way through. We have to ask for we had to ask for it for Roger. I believe it was Roger Sharp. Is he the one out of town, Matt?
Yes.
Niskian is all residency.
Janet, because that's 2 different things.
I'm sorry,
Out of town or out of county?
out of town. You have a Niskian preference for all job positions, to my knowledge, because this is what we've run into before. I can double check with civil service, but I just want to make sure.
The waiver for out of county.
Okay, I'll double check with them.
Okay. I think it's department heads. That's why some department heads, when they were going to be promoted, moved into town. But maybe some of them were grandfathered in. I don't know. I might be speaking out of turn.
Okay, B, the trainee down at the water plant took classes earlier in the year, moving towards getting his water plant operator's license, and he's asking to be reimbursed for the classes. It's $216. I spoke to Janet yesterday, and I guess there's a form and a that's been attached to their contract, and we've never used it before, so it's new to us. But I think is there a promise that they have to stay employed for 3 years? How does that work?
In the back of their contract, there's a Schedule A career advancement program for a water and/or sewer license, and there's a process according to the contract that they have to follow. It has to have your recommendation, the approval of the town board. There's a promissory note that they have to sign. I just think that maybe legal should look at that and advise the board as to whether or not that's required in this particular situation since he's already attended.
I
Okay.
can look into that, or Paul Briggs can after this call to send us a short email summary with.
Thank
what
you.
did.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I don't know if Ray's on the call or not, but they're going to be, the highway is going to be paving Lock 7 Road, and I think it was Pete from the highway department contacted our water plant operators and recommended that, or suggested that it might be a good time, because there's always been a plan to pave that access road into the water plant, and because of the savings, because they'll be there already, and we've heard Ray say multiple times this year that asphalt prices are way down. I'd like to try to take the opportunity to pave the access road in the parking area at the water plant. Currently, it's gravel. It was paved years ago, and it fell apart, and now it's gravel. I can move money within the budget now that we have is $17,000, but I could do through budget mods. I could find the money. I didn't know if that was something that people would be against. Because of the tightness of the budget right now, but I do have it in my budget somewhere. I can find it.
Yes, I'm on, Matt. And yeah, Pete went down. I know previously when we were looking at Lock 7, there was some interest from your department about, why we were down there. So they did the measurements for what they wanted to do. And that contractor that'll be paving down that end is Binder. So actually with your construction going on and you're going to have trucks in and out, which you do anyway for deliveries, actually that'll be the best application for there. So it would also incorporate and also not leave a blank spot when we do that whole extension of Lock 7. So it's actually a good fit and a good time to do it. Asphalt's still down as far as the escalation. So I think if you were ever going to do it, I think we should do it now.
Thank you. So would that require a board resolution, or would it just be covered under the paving?
It should be a budget mod for you, Matt.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. 6, water and sewer maintenance crew. The water use restrictions are still in place, but after the rain we had this week, I think things are going to be improving. The restrictions will be there. They're there every year. We'll just cut back on our enforcement. The portable sewer pump, that's been on the agenda multiple times. It's currently out to bid. So I will have a price, and I'll have the information to Alexis prior to the meeting. This was budgeted. We have the money for it. Actually, yeah, I think it was actually bonded, but there is money set aside for it. Flat top trailer. We had a price last year for a trailer. They've sold the trailer. We held off buying it because we were trying to say, have our money available for later in the year. There's still money in that line for that trailer. It may go over my purchasing threshold, so we may have to take it to finance. We are down 2 maintenance workers right now. I have an application in, or multiple applications in. I have at least two that look good. Scheduling interviews for next week, and I should have recommendations for the board for the next meeting. Just an update on the Mohawk Road project that's continuing on. Josh, how far they've gotten now?
There's about 550 feet of pipe installed along Mohawk, and they're continuing to work down towards Rosendale Road. And they have completed the repair under Route 7 at Shannon Boulevard. Right now, that section is still isolated between 2 new valves, pending a pressure and chlorination test before we put that back in service, and that's a backfeed for our project area for when we do the switch over to put the new 20-inch main online. So things are going well over there.
Thank you. Item F. We had originally planned to in-house with our own staff pour the concrete pads for the fueling stations, but with timing and possibility of a good price from a contractor, we're pursuing using an outside company to pour those pads for us. We would still do some of the support work to work with them, but I think we could do it relatively cheap. We're waiting. We met yesterday with the contractor, with one contractor, and should have a price later on today for that work. G. We have a worker in the water and sewer department who is currently a maintenance worker. He's been with the town for more than a year. He's doing very well, and I'd like to move to have him promoted to water and sewer maintenance worker. This would also help us out as far as putting him on the list for people that can volunteer to be on call. With some of the movements that we've had within the crew, we are down on the numbers of people available for being on call. So moving this worker would help us, and it would continue his progression along with us. He's Mike Paleschi is his name, and I think he would make a good fit for the position. And number 7, the utility billing. The first quarter for 2020 reconciliation should be ready for the meeting. Kathy's looking over the numbers. Same is true for the second quarter corporate utility warrant, and also for the residential commercial reconciliation for the second half of 2019. Where we're looking at the numbers, Chris has the initial numbers together, and then we're just doing the checking right now. That will be ready. It should be ready for the board meeting. All 3 of those. I put the iCloud convenience fees back on the agenda because Diane had some questions about those, and is she on the call?
Yes, I am, Matt. Thank you.
Yes. So, you want me
My
to say?
question was,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
you
No,
ask if you
let
wanted to
Diane
speak or
ask
I
your
speak.
questions, because this is more, I think, more of a Janet issue than a committee issue, but.
well, then no, I'm just talking about, we can talk it over with Janet. It doesn't have to be on the.
No, that's no. You called in. Don't be
Oh,
silly.
okay.
Please.
No, I was just curious as to my personal service has a side on Public Works, my salary side. So I just didn't know if that should come out of that side or I know they're one and the same.
That is definitely a Janet issue.
Yeah, so I
knows
can
much
talk it over with you. But then I don't know about if we're speaking about the second bill, the 2,200.
Well, yeah. So the second bill came in too we knew there was more coming because that first bill was only for 1 month.
Yeah.
So there's an additional $2,200. Actually $2,100 because you back out the $100, which is an unrelated fee. But the convenience fees were $2,100 for the remainder of the billing cycle. So.
And Matt, I think I was charged the $100 for the part-time line for the 4,400, but that's okay. I don't mind, but I don't know if my part-time budget can handle both. That it paid the 44, but the 22. So I meant.
So when this came up, Diane, it was discussed with Yasmin and Denise, and it was because you had requested this this special utility building because of COVID. Denise or Yasmin, jump in if I'm incorrect. And
that isn't incorrect.
That
is incorrect, Janet.
Yeah, like a little bit. It's correct in the sense that this is a COVID this was the COVID response effort to mitigate the in-person and remote work requirements so that Diane Percy's staff didn't all have to come in to handle the mail. I mean, so I think it was discussed, and it was for the benefit of the officers of the receiver's office. But I just was confused why it wasn't coming out of the. I know we've been putting everything COVID related in the miscellaneous and contractual budget line.
Who is miscellaneous and contractual? Because everybody's got one.
Yeah, so everyone's got one. So
Correct.
like, to the extent that this was something that's going to be charged to the receiver, that it should come out of her
Come out of
miscellaneous.
there. That's
Not on
fine.
her time
I
budget.
think Janet was just doing.
We just did
which
budget
she
mod.
understood the conversation to be. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's more than reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's.
But I think Janet was also trying to find the money because the staffing and anybody else stop me if they remember this better than I do. She was just trying to take it out of the staffing line because the staffing line wasn't going to be used and it was more flush and she didn't want to take it up. So I understood why she was doing that completely, but wherever people want to take it, that's not for us to dictate.
Yeah, no, that's fine, and I understand that completely. I just didn't know if there was some of my salary, part-time salary, is on the Public Works, and I know Janet.
Right,
did
I
move it
understand what
to
you're saying.
miscellaneous and-
I understand what you're saying.
I
It's
just was-
allocated, but
right.
but this wasn't a Public Works decision, so it didn't seem fair to hit their budget for something that, you know, they really didn't have any part of. So when it was initially discussed with the supervisor and Denise, you know, it was decided it needed to be charged to your line because it was to accommodate your staff working from home. You know, and I can't really accommodate that out of the SOAR 1, SOAR 6, and Water 1 lines. You know, unless the town board wants to hit fund balance for that.
Right.
But some of my staff, part-time staff, and Janet, you and I can talk about it differently, but I just thought it was on Public Works, some of my budget.
Your people definitely are part on Public Works. So the
Right.
staff time and the bill collection and what Matt is talking about right now, right? So
Correct.
that's, but I think this is above and beyond that number. So I don't know, you guys want to talk about this offline, and if there's some committee action that we have to take, I will certainly put it back on the agenda, or if it needs something that needs to be done by finance committee, you know, I'm happy to sponsor that or have that discussion.
Okay, that sounds fine. Thank you
Is
very
that
much.
great? Okay, Janet.
Yeah, that's
both
great.
of you, thank you. And I'm sorry, Diane, I just didn't look. I didn't get the agenda until we already had started. I would have started with you. I didn't mean to make you wait for an hour.
Oh, it's okay. It's quite all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next section is Section 8, Finance Committee or Board Action. Everything on here is carried down from up top except for A and M. So item A is just an update on the franchise agreement for Spectrum. I leave it on there just because I know it's an ongoing thing. I don't know if there's any updates.
Just no update, but more just update residents. I receive all of the increases and changes to services. So I know that the residents, if they haven't received the bill yet, it's going to be an increase. I thought of Councilwoman McGraw because I saw that they're taking the Yankee channel off of the Spectrum. You have to pay more for it.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, I need to get in touch with them because Janet, have you been in contact?
Because she's hearing from very angry constituents.
I know. I know the former comptroller, Paul Sylvester, he was, the point person for Spectrum. So I want to make, I know I've been copied on those emails, but to the extent that Janet, if you received them, just make sure, and you don't see me on it, just make sure you forward to me as well.
Great. And I know you've followed up with them recently. So I know you've been in regular contact with them, Alexis. So thank you very much. I'm looking through this quickly, right? Because I'm playing catch up on this agenda, but do we have the reso that didn't get done last month about the National Grid bill?
So that one, I was, how much was the amount of that? I didn't know if I thought so it couldn't just go through finance.
No.
Oh, I thought it was just going through finance.
No, it's $200,000, isn't it? Or more than, I can't even remember now.
Oh, does somebody have that bill? Because I know when I went to write the resolution, I just didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Oh, so someone get me the bill.
Yeah, I can forward you that bill. Because
That would be great. So that's the only one.
It's going to be spread over several years, for 2 years, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, Alexis, we made the decision to do it in payments, not in one lump sum. So, but Matt has all the paperwork, so does Paul Briggs.
It's over 30 months.
30 months.
Wow.
There we
Okay.
go. He could do the math there. I trust him. All right, moving right along.
All right, so drop down to M because the other ones are all repeats from up top. We Josh and I have been working on the budget mods that are necessary to remove highway from the fuel management project, and I think you're very close, Josh, to having a final number.
Yes, we're close. We're waiting for a contractor to get back to us, hopefully this morning, to know the cost of the pad and we'll need a canopy at the water sewer site to keep the fueling operations from being exposed to stormwater. So that's an additional cost. So we're waiting on the estimate for that work to know what the final numbers will be.
Great, thank you.
So other departments, the parks, just an update on the splash pad. The 2 new features were installed last week and they seem to be popular with the kids. So I think that project is mostly done. There's a small amount of landscaping that might need to be done, but it's a finished product. So I know there was some money that came in from a grant. Do we have to do a budget mod to move that?
No. We probably will. I think we will. I believe that your H account, your bonded account, is out of money for the splash pad.
Yeah,
so I think we need to go to
Getting
operating
10
now.
more. So he had 5. He spent 10, but he was getting another 10 from the county.
Right, but we'll put that in operating fund instead of in the bonded account.
Okay.
Right, so we can use the money. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. That's great. Matt,
You're
speaking
welcome.
of unfinished projects, how are we doing with that water and sewer building?
That's on the next. That's item under
Okay,
10.
well, we're done with the splash pad unless people want to hear about the Dorito bag I picked up yesterday. So, yeah.
So Ray was helping out with that, grading that site off for us. I know he's busy with other things right now with paving and everything. I didn't know when he thought he'd be able to get back to finish that up. Are you still there on the call, Ray?
Yeah, that'll be in the near future. When we were out prepping for blacktop, I had the guys saw cut the old driveway. I'm gonna remove that, put the dirt in, to close off that second driveway.
Okay.
And I had, what we went over with the pipes there, we're gonna block them off, fill them with stone. So then we can raise that front elevation, get that other part that I started grading off to the elevation we need to be, and then, come in and put some grade stakes in for the final grades.
Yeah, I thank you very much for all the help on that.
You're welcome. I tried to clean up around the building a little bit so we could get some stone in there to kind of clean up that area, for access for the guys from the transfer station.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, so he mentioned the transfer station bathroom. The plumbing is complete in there now. So we're waiting on door locks from Charlie, and then we can put it in service. So I'll reach out to Charlie again and see if there's any movement on that, and then we can start using that as a bathroom for the park as well and for transfer station. There's some cleanup painting that needs to be done, but that was going to be done, I think, on off hours, when things slow down with other projects, but that's not necessary to open it up. So the grading of the site and the bathroom is getting towards the end. So the transfer station open house that we wanted to do, Denise, I didn't want to do that until after that was done because I
Exactly.
envision you using that space for the open house. So, and and I know Kathy needs to schedule the shredding company in with quite a bit of advance notice. So I don't know what your thoughts were. How late do you want to push it this fall?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much farther than late October we can go, right?
Yeah, I think that it wouldn't be too cold because it is early. A lot of people come early in the morning, so I would say no later than that. Do you think, Ray, that you'd have a gravel parking lot by that point?
Yeah, Matt, I think, well, once we can get down there and I can free, a few guys up or use a few of your guys in dump trucks like we did in the
Sure.
beginning.
Absolutely.
I think in a week's time, we can get that place, right to grade, stone in, rolled, and cleaned up well.
Thank you.
I'll coordinate that with you. If I can free up a guy one day with a dump truck and you vice versa. So, around the bathroom itself is about a day's work to make that nice. I talked to you about removing that fence and stuff. That's all little stuff. So I think we could do it in a week's time.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I had on the agenda. I was going to ask if there's any way that we could have a meeting for personnel issues, either tomorrow or Monday next week. Probably would want to have Denise, if you're available, Paul and Alexis and supervisor.
Of course.
I don't know what people's availability is.
Yes, I'm for the most part available. I think I have planning board at night, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I also,
Matt, before you jump off, I reached out to civil service while we were meeting, and there is a 1-month residency requirement in the town of Niskayuna for all competitive positions, and a plant operator is a competitive position. So if they can't do that, then just let me know and I'll write the letter to ask for a waiver.
Okay.
Janet,
Just like we did with Jessica.
That's really important information on a number of levels. I mean, obviously the department heads all need to have that. I mean, they may know better than we do, but I think also as we're moving forward on equity issues around town, there's a number of theories and writings out there that say residency requirements actually, and especially in a place like Niskayuna, hurt our ability
Right.
to recruit, right? So thank you so much for going to find that right while we're all on the phone.
Denise, before we sign off, can I just see if there's some people that I haven't heard their voice for the attendance?
Yeah, of course, Kathy.
Okay. Just a few here. Brian Backus.
Here.
Stan Fominski. Michelle Martinelli.
I'm here.
Okay. Rosemary Jackwith. Bill McPartland. John Delarada. And Laura Robertson.
I'm here, Kathy.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Kathy. All right.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing everyone in September. We will talk about what time, because this 8:30 time is better for Laura. And today she didn't have many items for us, but usually she does. So we'll figure it out, but we may go back to the 8 o'clock. So, but we'll let everybody know immediately.
Any chance you're going live? Will be in person?
I think the notions that will be the town board is going to be the first to put their to do so, the guinea pig. So hopefully, perhaps the August 25th meeting with and Bill Lawrence and I have been working closely to order the technology that's necessary so that people can seamlessly participate remotely, even if we have an in-person meeting. So
sounds good.
Yes.
Okay.
Be in touch. And Matt, if you could just give me a call, and maybe Councilwoman McGraw, I have a quick question for you guys, just an unrelated matter about filling 2018 bill.
Okay. You have my attention. All right, guys. Thank you all very much. I will move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Matt, do you want to call my cell phone, or do you want to call I'll call you your office number?
Call my office number.